Welcome to Historic Adventures. Today we're on a journey to Tattershall Castle. We hope you enjoy the video. Welcome to this ancient, low-vaulted cellar, once equipped with 4 lockable side rooms. At its heart stood a well, now sealed and covered with square tiles. On the eastern wall, the cellar features a pair of Aumbry's wall cupboards designed for additional storage. It is said that during the Civil War, this very place served as a prison. Local legends whisper of an underground tunnel that once connected the well to the marketplace beyond. This grand hall once served as the principal dining space for Lord and Lady Cromwell. Here, family-honoured guests and even high-ranking servants would gather for lavish banquets. The entrance lobby to the hall still boasts medieval plasterwork, skillfully painted to resemble brick. Adjacent to this lobby was a service room, where food from the kitchens was received. In the eastern passage, a more rugged fireplace, added in the 18th century, stands as a later addition to this historic space. The corridor itself boasts a striking decorative ceiling with plasterwork between the vaulting painted to resemble brick, a reflection of Lord Cromwell's heritage, wealth, and status. At the corridor's end lies a waiting room, complete with its own garderobe and fireplace. Here, visitors would prepare to meet Lord Cromwell in the audience chamber, where he conducted business seated beneath a canopy on the southern wall. Discussions would have ranged from the management of the castle and its estates to important matters relating to his role as Treasurer of England. The room in the southeast turret likely served as Lord Cromwell's private office, equipped with its own garderobe. Today, it houses a dovecote, a later addition from the 18th century. This floor represents the most private and architecturally spectacular part of the keep. The ceiling of the entrance lobby and the spaces above the windows in the main chamber are adorned with intricate brick vaulting, a feature unique to this level of the castle. The specially moulded bricks and finely carved plaster create an impressive visual effect that stands apart from the rest of the structure. Here were the sleeping quarters of Lord and Lady Cromwell, as well as a private retreat for Lady Cromwell and her personal servants. This was an intimate, personal space, carefully protected by a porter's lodge near the entrance lobby to ensure no unwanted visitors could intrude. The roof and battlements are the most significantly altered parts of the castle, having been reconstructed by architect William Weir between 1912 and 1914 as part of Lord Curzon's grand restoration. Originally, the roof would have been low-pitched and covered in lead, with lead-lined turrets topping the structure. Surrounding the roof is a unique feature in England, a vaulted gallery with machicolations, or missile holes, encircling the keep. However, this gallery was purely ornamental. It would have been ineffective as a defensive feature, as any missiles dropped through the machicolations would have landed on the Great Hall in front of the keep or into the castle's inner moat. The parlor, a visitor's room, is distinct from the private chambers of the keep, marking it as a public space used by both servants and visitors. This room was where the steward managed the estate, collecting taxes, purchasing goods, and issuing daily orders to Lord Cromwell's staff. The parlour features the most ornate fireplace in the entire castle, likely because this floor hosted visitors from the broader estates. The grand fireplace stands as a testament to Lord Cromwell's wealth and authority, showcasing his status as a worthy lord of the castle and its vast holdings. In the year 1231, Robert de Tattershall was granted a royal licence by King Henry III to construct a fortified manor house of stone at Tattershall. This grand castle was comprised of a great hall, kitchens, a gatehouse, and a chapel, all encased within a formidable curtain wall and protected by a surrounding moat. In 1943, surviving pages from the castle's building accounts were meticulously transcribed and translated from Latin. Though incomplete, the records from the Pipe Roll of 1434 to 1435 shed light on the extensive ditchwork undertaken during that period. Matthew Dyker, whose surname denotes a man skilled in digging dikes and ditches, and his crew were compensated for their efforts in altering the existing moats and creating new sections. Their work involved scouring and emptying the water from the ditches surrounding the castle and excavating new ditches to connect the river with the castle. Additionally, they dug a second moat on the west side, known as Le Wardyke. To fortify and protect the banks, hedges were planted and bundles of sticks referred to as hegging kids were embedded. The double moat at Tattershall was not merely a defensive mechanism, but also a grand display of power and prestige. Visitors to the castle had to pass through an additional gatehouse, adding to the ceremonial experience as they advanced to the next ward. Lord Cromwell cleverly used the double moat to extend the journey, allowing guests to admire his imposing great tower from various perspectives. While the precise purpose of the moats remains somewhat ambiguous, intriguing steps descending into the inner moat behind the guardhouse suggest they may have served as a means to deliver supplies or offer a scenic boat ride, allowing for a leisurely tour around the castle's new brick tower. Upon the death of Lord Cromwell, with no direct heir to inherit, Tattershall Castle came into the possession of the Crown. It was subsequently bestowed upon loyal subjects and family connections, including Edward IV, Henry VII, Margaret Beaufort, Henry VIII, Henry Fitzroy, and Charles Brandon, all of whom held ownership during this era. In October 1537, as King Henry VIII sought to annul his marriage and establish the Church of England, a significant protest erupted in Louth against the suppression of Catholic religious houses. This unrest swiftly escalated into a formidable march of 40,000 commoners toward Lincoln. Charles Brandon, Duke of Suffolk and the King's close confidant, was appointed to lead the forces sent to suppress the rebellion. His selection was partly due to his recent marriage to Catherine Willoughby, a member of the influential Willoughby de Eresby family, which held substantial lands in the county. Although the protesters had dispersed by the time Brandon arrived, he swiftly executed the ringleaders in Lincoln. As a token of gratitude for his role in quelling the Lincolnshire Rising, King Henry VIII granted Tattershall Castle to Brandon on April 4, 1537. Brandon was directed to relocate to Lincolnshire to maintain order, with Tattershall Castle serving as his new headquarters. Under Brandon's stewardship, the castle was transformed into a splendid Tudor palace, complete with a tilt yard for jousting practice. The castle flourished as a symbol of wealth, power, and beauty once again. Brandon's admiration for Tattershall was so profound that he requested to be buried in Holy Trinity Church, adjacent to the castle. However, Henry VIII, honouring their deep friendship, had Brandon interred with great ceremony at St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle. Following Brandon's death, the castle was inherited by the Clinton family, who became the Earls of Lincoln and resided there for 120 years. Little documentary evidence remains to illustrate the castle's decoration and furnishings throughout the years. However, a 1551 inventory provides some insights. Following Charles Brandon's death in 1545, several items were removed from Tattershall. The inventory details luxurious possessions, including Turkish carpets, opulent bed hangings, woolen blankets, and numerous tapestries. Among these were scenes depicting the story of Moses, an image of Our Lady, and 12 tapestries known as the Ragged Staff, illustrating the months with the heraldic Warwick symbol as a border. Also noted was a bed tester adorned with the richest purple velvet, featuring roses and portcullises, the Tudor rose and portcullis emblems, suggesting that this opulent bedding dated back to when Margaret Beaufort, King Henry VII's mother, owned the castle. The castle's fortunes waned significantly during the English Civil War. In 1643, Royalist forces under the Earl of Newcastle ravaged the castle, leaving only the Great Tower standing. Following the Royalist defeat, Parliament decreed the demolition of the entire structure. However, the Earl of Lincoln's persistent appeals spared the Great Tower from destruction. By 1693, after the death of the last Earl of Lincoln, the castle passed to the Fortesque family, who resided primarily in Devon. The castle was abandoned, falling into ruin. Floors collapsed, windows shattered and moats filled in, with the ground floor of the Great Tower even repurposed as a cattle shed. Despite its derelict state, Tattershall became a popular romantic ruin for tourists. In 1910, the Fortesque family sold the castle to an American consortium. To fund the sale, valuable fireplaces were removed and sold to an American collector, further marking the castle's transformation from a grand residence to a historic relic. In 1911, Reverend Aglasius of Holy Trinity Church, situated next door to the castle, sought the assistance of Lord Curzon of Kedleston to rescue Tattershall Castle from further decay. Responding to this call, Lord Curzon acquired the castle and, adhering to the principles of the Society for the Protection of Ancient Buildings, undertook a meticulous restoration. He reinstated the original fireplaces and worked to restore the remaining structures. Among his significant challenges was repairing the Great Tower and reconstructing the moat system, originally installed over 470 years earlier. The restoration architect, Mr. William Weir, approached this task by excavating trenches along the presumed route of the ditches, analysing the sediment's colour and texture to gauge the original moat's width and depth. While this method was largely effective, the moats as they stand today are an educated approximation. The restoration was complicated by land not owned by Lord Curzon. Specifically, the original moats course was believed to run beneath farm buildings to the southwest of the Great Tower. Since Curzon did not own this land, the outer moat had to be rerouted. Lord Curzon envisioned the newly restored moats as a pristine, glassy surface, designed to reflect the castle's restored splendour and beauty. In August 1914, Tattershall Castle was first opened to the public as a visitor attraction. Upon Lord Curzon's death in 1925, he bequeathed the castle to the National Trust in his will. Since then, Tattershall Castle has remained a cherished destination for visitors, preserving its rich history for generations to come. Thank you for joining us on this journey to Tattershall Castle. If you found this video informative and brought value, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Until next time, see you soon.